ambitious plan. And there is no doubt that those countries that are the leaders in economic competition, in a way, what are they doing first? They are investing in education. Now, probably this university is the best example of the visionary plan that the Kingdom has put in place to go in the very same direction. And our students here represent the future generation that have this responsibility. So it's my greatest pleasure on behalf of KAUST, of course, to host here Dr. Uwaidh Al-Harethi, because he's representing one of the, when I may say, best friends of KAUST, but also one of the most influential and valuable industrial realities in the Kingdom, Sabic. Those examples of enterprises at the top level, high level, a gigantic level in a way, that have the responsibility of guiding the future of the economy. So Dr. Al-Harethi, in fact, represents also the example of those managers with, of course, education in this sense acquired at the King Fahd University, that have the responsibility of leading thousands of people in very ambitious plans, economic development plans, and adopting different models. Now, being flexible, being the person understanding which is the direction, which is the best model to follow, is probably one of the most important characteristics of a leader in this sense. So, for us, having him, telling him about his experience, his vision, is particularly enriching for the scopes of this program. So it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Al-Harethi here at KAUST, and everybody here in the room, and all our distinguished guests representing here the Kingdom and other academic and non-academic institutions. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you. Looking forward to your talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And at the beginning, let me say thank you for giving me this opportunity for KAUST faculty and KAUST management and the WEP organizer, and nothing better than having the thought and share with scientists and potential scientists and a student like you in a very great institute that is passionate about innovation, and we see so many centers for innovation in KAUST. One of them is Sabic, and so many companies are there, and some of them are coming soon. We'll start the presentation, and actually let me just to collaborate with you. I'm not gonna tell you what is innovation, how you do innovation, rather than what is the importance of innovation and what is the role of leadership and how important your transformation combined with innovation. Because most of the companies and even governments, they are talking about transformation, like what we have in Saudi Arabia now. Our Vision 2030, it's simply a transformation. And if you do a transformation without combining this transformation with innovation, because transformation giving you a big opportunity to deploy the new technology and to change your operating model and to be more innovative. So, as you know, life never stands still. And business is no different. And everything will change around you. And there would be so many innovative ideas and breakthrough technology around you. If you don't respond for it, you will be out of the game. So even if there is a disruptive technology outside of your field or your industry, if you don't cater for it, you will be hit by the wave of those breakthrough technology directly or indirectly. Let's start. Everybody knows this. And there is a pointer or no pointer? Without pointer, I'll tell you one thing about this company. You see the first row, the top technological company. And the real advantage of those companies is the innovation. They are investing heavily in innovation. And through innovation, they could manage to lead and to penetrate all markets. Not only that, even to influence our life. I challenge if every one of you does not have the product of those companies, or he don't interact through the product of these companies or platform. So they touch the life of every human being on earth. Samsung is an interesting company because they are aggressively trying to compete with Apple, and they are filing like 5,000 patents per year. Somebody will ask, would Samsung overperform Apple? Maybe the answer is difficult, but if you see what Samsung is doing and what Apple is doing, you may say, yes, in the coming 5 years, maybe Samsung will overperform Apple. Samsung is doing like 5,000 patents per year, and they did 15,500 patents during the past 3 years. Apple, they are doing around 1,900 to 2,000 per year. So they are 6,000 compared to 15,000. Also, Samsung is the second highest spender on innovation with a $14 billion a year. You know, just to imagine this number, this is almost equal to EBITDA of Sabic, yearly EBITDA of a global company like Sabic. Just they spend it in innovation. Of course, number one is Amazon, because Amazon, they are spending even $22 billion, which is equivalent to country annual budget. So here, why I'm saying this, if you see from leadership point of view, because innovation, it's a start with leadership. There is so many great ideas in the world, but the problem, they don't find the leadership who support it and finance it. Then it dies. And the company could die. So in Samsung, despite of this huge spending, still they are lagging behind Apple. But still, they believe on spending, and they believe because the conversion of the research or the patent to a very big commercial value, the probability is less than 10%. So some of the leaders, when they take over a company and they find the company performance is not good, to make the shareholder happy, the easiest thing, you cut the budget of innovation. For example, Samsung, if they cut it from 14 billion to 7 billion equivalent to their peers in the market, immediately their bottom line would be increased by 7 billion. And they could give more dividend, people, they will feel happy, nothing changed. This is in the mid-term. But in the long term, you will see them going out of the market like so many companies, and you will see some of the trend. So many of the company, I will go to the second row, which is Kodak and Nokia. I'll go to Nokia. By the way, in almost 2000, during my wedding party, I get the best gift from my best friend. It was Nokia phone. And I remember it. And I was so happy about it. By the way, I lost it in the honeymoon in Singapore. But anyhow, I mean, it was the trend, the latest, wow. But now, where is Nokia? And maybe most of you know what the CEO of Nokia, when they announced their bankruptcy, he said, we did nothing wrong, except we didn't do anything. And just they were happy, enjoying their market share, enjoying what they are achieving, but they don't invest. They don't try to predict the market, what is coming in the coming 5 years, 10 years. And that's why, if you don't have clear strategy in innovation and developing your business and transform based on the consumer needs, then your strategy is nothing but dying slowly and losing the business. So one of the interesting idea about Kodak, they were almost for 10 decades the leader of the filming market and photography. And by the way, the digital photography, which crashed them down, was invented first by one of their engineers. But nobody listened to him. And nobody was willing to support him to invest and to develop his research more and more. Then they pay a higher price, okay? Now, let me go to our petrochemical industry because I have more experience and insight. And again, the picture is the same. There was so many great companies in 1995, which is almost 20 years from now. And in 2016, if you see the picture, there is a big change. And simply this change is that there is some company, they disappear totally, and some companies, they pop up, like Sabic and Synobic. Why? Because the common key for success factor for transformation and leadership in industry is doing something innovative. When you build a new company or when you do continuous investment, every time you tune your investment or your plan to new market application. Also, you have the choice to build your facilities close to the market. Most of the company which is lost the market, like Bayer, they disappear totally, okay? Or like Shell, they were having their assets, they were leaders in the 80s, but after that, they don't have a continuous transformation and growth and no innovation. So simply, they lose ground. In 20 years now, you have like Sabic, Synobic, Ineos. Ineos, this is a family company. It's UK. But they have a very smart CEO. He buys some assets from British Petroleum because British Petroleum, they wouldn't do enough transformation and innovation. He bought the business. He improved it. He became now one of the biggest players in petrochemical industry. And there is a company like BASF, which is a company, the biggest petrochemical company in the world, and they have a continuous transformation and innovation. They are investing heavily, and if you say their business, though the name and the brand is the same, but if you see what they are selling today compared to what they used to sell 20 or 30 years ago, you will find it totally different. The only company in the world is making 2 to 3 divestment and acquisition in a year is BASF. Other companies, they do it in different way, like Dow and DuPont. Dow, every 20 years, they make a big action, either acquisition or divestition, and this will give them a competitiveness for another 10 years, 15 years. Then after that, they do restructuring, divesting, merging. And the biggest merger happened in the history, which is 2 years ago, which is between DuPont and Dow. And this is generate 3 big companies, and they separated to agri-nutrient, high performance, and commodities. So not only merging and restructuring, okay, because you have to create synergy, and they leverage the strength of each other in innovation. DuPont is very strong in specialty and in agri-nutrient. So this is what Dow leveraged them in. It's a transaction around $156 billion. So Sabic became big in size because they have rapid growth, and the good strategy about Sabic since inception, they deploy the latest and the state-of-the-art technology. We never accept to go, like some of other countries, to go to second class or third quartile technology. Every time we get the best. And we start with strong partners like Shell, Dow, and ExxonMobil. They used to be leader. We did a JV with them, we learn from them, then we carry on our own way. So technology and innovation is one of key successful factors for transformation leadership in chemical industry. If you see Liandi Basel or any company, when they do, especially in the open market, because here maybe as Sabic we have advantages of feedstock, but if we are operating against market price, like our facility in China, because we have facility in China and USA, the only advantages you have is the technology. If you don't have technology edge, then you cannot make it, you cannot compete. So in some area you have advantages like feedstock, like what we have in Saudi Arabia. But in the rest of the world, like our facility in Europe or anywhere else, we have no advantages except innovation. And innovation and technology ecosystem is very important, because here I would like to make something clear for you. Innovation is not only in technology. You invent catalyst or you invent innovation even in design, innovation even in packaging. Part of the success of Samsung and iPhone is the packaging design and the color. They are very innovative in it, but it has no technology. It's a sense, it's art. And also your operating model, your supply chain, the way you serve people. So everything you have to be innovative in doing it, even in hiring and in recruiting people. Okay? Unless you are very innovative in this, you cannot achieve what you need. Now, one of the things around technology and innovation as enabler, focus innovation efforts. Now, most of the company, like Samsung or Sabic or any company, usually they see the core business and the core portfolio, and they start focusing their research around it. For example, in Samsung, why they were very strong and powerful and they could get big market share from Apple? For one reason. I work in China, by the way. You know, in the Far East, their language, it has a characters. And this character is not like a letter in Arabic, 28 letter, or in English, 26 letter. It's 6,000 letters. So there's no keyboard that can give you 6,000 keyboards to type on it. So they were so smart in developing writing recognition. So if you notice, Samsung, every time it has a pen. It's not like iPhone. Why? Because Chinese and Korean, with their characters and Japanese, they prefer this because it gives them the flexibility to type. So just they know the consumer needs and they cater their product and efforts to provide solution for them. And they succeed big time. And if you see, most of the sales of Samsung is in China, and most of their production facilities in China. Their main market is China and Asia, which is the biggest market again. So they are smart. If you don't focus your innovative efforts and if you spread yourself thin, you will get nothing. So in Sabic, at our early stage of research and development, we start doing research in every front. We invent so many technology, but unfortunately nothing of them was hitting our core portfolio. We have acetic acid. It's in Abu Rushd here in Yamba, maybe 200 kilometers away from here. One of the best technology, but this is not core business for us. We invent other technology which is not in our core business. After that, we start sharpening our focus, and we learn and we have to focus our effort in our portfolio. And from there, we start realizing good results. Now, innovation, contribution to our annual EBITDA is 15%. So Sabic, every year we are making around $14-15 billion. The contribution of innovation is something around $2 billion per year, which is very excellent result because every dollar we spend it in innovation, we gain $3 per each dollar we spend it. So the more we invest, the more we get. Again, why we need to innovate? Because this is, every time innovation becomes even more important in the future. Why? Because there is rapid change around us. From regulation, from mobility, from sustainability, even internal system inside the company or inside the country like Vision 2030, and we have to contribute to this because now, for example, in Saudi Arabia for Vision 2030, they would like to have big downstream industry. So we have to provide material that can suit this industry. So we have to innovate, we have to provide solutions to enable this industry to happen. If you go to mobility, developing sustainable, convenient, affordable mobility. Mobility, actually, there is a breakthrough in mobility. It's disruptive technology, which is the electrical car. This electrical car caused big panic for all oil producers because they say we don't need fuel. And the main market for oil producer is the fuel. So now the fuel is around 65% of the oil. So if they lose it, what are they going to do with it? So now they are thinking in innovation, how can we convert it to chemical? Or how can we convert it to protein to feed people? This is simply because the electrical car. But there is even more disruptive through mobility, which is self-driven car. You know self-driven car, what does that mean? It's already started in some of the cities, especially like Dubai and Singapore, they do piloting for it, but it will be reality in the coming 2 to 3 years. Having a self-driven car, that means the incident rate will go almost to zero because it's very smart and it's driven by a supercomputer with so many sensors. What does that mean if you reduce the probability of incident to almost zero? You don't need to have steel and aluminum to protect a human being inside the car. So you can use plastic. So this is good opportunity for plastic producer and bad opportunity for steel producer. But now, is it the existing plastic that we are using or we are producing? No, because they need something tougher and more stiffer than what we are using. And this is easy. We have to tune our plants and our operating conditions, reactors, production line, through innovation and scientists to produce this plastic. But it would be big opportunity for plastic producer. So you see, disruption does not happen in petrochemical industry. It happens in mobility, in automotive. But the waves, it may kill some of the oil producers. To this extent, how serious it is, okay, because they are losing their market. And that's why they would like to convert the oil to chemical, because this is the only outlet available as of now. So there is so many research going on. Of course, there is so many other technology and disruptive like digitalization, and also there is energy. There is so many disruptive technology in energy like solar energy, wind energy, or thermal energy. all these forms will change the dynamics and the way we live, for sure. Okay? Because, for example, with renewable energy, especially solar energy, maybe we don't need this power transmission towers and network inside the city, which take any time. When you build your house, if this technology reaches the maturity, just you need a small solar cell, and you can live in any place in the world. You don't need to have a mega city, because you can live in a village or anywhere. You have the internet. You can order everything through Amazon from internet, and you have the electricity, and you have the connectivity through your mobile. Then why I need to be in a big city like New York or Riyadh or Tokyo? I can stay anywhere. So our life, our habits will change. Even the shopping mall now, if you know some of your friends, they have shops in the shopping malls. Now they start noticing their sales start declining. And when they dig out about it, why our sales is going down, they found most of the young generation, they buy through the internet from Amazon website, and it's delivered to their home. So they never go to the shops. So with time, you will see these malls almost empty. Nobody will rent a big place. It's a better you make a website and you start selling from the website. What creates more pressure for innovation is the population growth. We are expecting by 2050 to have 9 billion human beings on this earth. And again, our planet having limited resources. And unless we find new ways and means to increase the productivity, especially in farming, productivity per square meter or per square feet, and new way of reducing the cycle time of plant life, then we will have a big war due to food limitation in the planet. So due to that, we have to innovate in everywhere, in technology, in transportation. Now, one of the limitations, especially if you go to a big city like Beijing or Shanghai, these big cities, it's difficult to move inside the city, especially during the peak hours. Though they are having underground, they are having metro system, they are having system to limit number of cars every day. If your plate number starts with even number, then you cannot drive today. Tomorrow, the odd number will not drive. So almost they cut number of cars by 50%. They are using the public transportation. But though we have big limitation in their system, and we have to innovate. So now we will start talking about Sabic more. This is the history of Sabic. If you see, Sabic started in the mid-80s, and before that there was a lot of resources being burned, like natural gas. The idea or the innovative idea was, how can we convert it to a good product, that would create job, will create value for the country and for the world. Then they created Sabic. Sabic, after that, one of the good things, it's phenomena, the rate of growth that Sabic is making. Why? Because in no time, less than 30 years, we become one of the world leader in petrochemical industry. How we do that? We do it a combination, and it has a lot of innovation, because we grow, through organic growth by building plant in Jubail to utilize the gas, and at the same time, we do acquisition for DSM. When you acquire a company, you acquire a talent, you acquire a market, you acquire technology, you acquire so many things. Forget about the assets, because you can get the asset from anywhere. And this point, it takes Sabic from being a local company to be a global company. And this has opened a new space for us. Then after that, we start growing again and again. and establishing global footprint. And to be a global player, you have to have a different mindset. How to learn this? We acquired a GE, and it was a very fantastic because we got access to technology like ABS technology, polycarbonate technology. By the way, polycarbonate technology, there is only 2 or 3 companies who has this technology. And GE is the best. And this is, you cannot get it in the market. Nobody gives you a license. And this is very important. After that, we have a big JV with Sabic and Sabic in China in a very critical market. And we gain a lot of things in terms of innovation, research, talent, everything. So now, as Sabic, and you will see it in the next slide. Forget about this. So Sabic, since the beginning, almost after establishing Sabic in 1984, in 1990, we started believing we cannot grow and compete globally without having innovation centers and research. So we start with technical support for our customers and our assets and facilities. And after that, we have technology development, and we worked in some of the technology, like I told you about acetic acid and others, which was a scarce effort. After that, we start focusing more on product development to penetrate new market. After that, we establish something we call it corporate research and technology venturing. Because here you will see in the next slide, how we do in Sabic Global T&I Network. We are having almost like 21 centers, and we have more than 2,000 scientists around the world. And we have around 700 plus R&D projects. And by the way, this is used to be like 1,500. But after that, we came to a point where we need to sharpen our focus, and we focus on the key portfolio for us, and we start trimming and killing any project that does not hit my core portfolio. So we optimize it just to focus. And after that, we have around 45 sustainable products. And by the way, Sabic, every year, we produce 150 new grades. So if you go like 10 years back, you will never find any one of the grades that we used to produce it. So every 5 years, almost, we change the complete, our grade and products we are changing. Why? Because we tune it more to the market and to the consumer behavior. By the way, we have 27 technology owned by Sabic. We'll show it to you in next slide. By the way, more than 30% of Sabic EBITDA growth by 2025 was enabled by our technology. In our 2025, we built almost 5 mega projects, 2 in USA, and 1 in China, and 1 in Africa, and 3 in USA, and 1 in Africa, 1 in China. And the only enabler that help us to penetrate China market is the technology. They could not accept the Chinese to have us as a partner unless we have something to add. What would be your added value? One of our added value is the technology, because we own so many technology that we would share it with you. So now we have key focus area in our innovation, and mainly it's the feedstock platform. Why is that? Because our product cost, or our total cost, 80% of it is coming from feedstock. So if we manage to create big impact in feedstock, we will have a big competitive advantage. And this is the role of the leadership, how they direct the innovation efforts to the right direction to hit their core interest. Process technology, it's very, very important. And there is sustainability solution and solution material. And you know sustainability now, it's become pressing need, and there is some new regulation, especially in Europe, about recycle economy. which will prevent any use of packaging material after 2040. It should be 100% recycled. Single use is no longer allowable after 2040. So that's why in innovation we start working in a technology to recycle this plastic as a chemical recycle, and we produce new virgin material. This is one of the leading technology, and I see them, they are saying time. It's still 5 minutes. Huh? So this is how to do, just now I will speed up. How to do innovation, by the way, it's like racing. Who will reach first? So that's why we are believing in open innovation. We are doing collaboration with some of our partners. We are doing collaboration with the university, locally, globally. We are doing with almost all the Saudi university, and also we are doing a startup. Any promising or potential technology, we buy it in the early stage, and we develop it. So everything that could help us to reach faster to any technology, we are doing it, as simple as this. So we are collaborating with everybody around the world with this. So we have 50 projects, 23 programs, 352 co-op students, and again, KAUST is one of the centers that we are having some of the key projects which is going on, and hopefully we will have some of the good news in the near future. This is just to see some of our core technologies in Sabic. Okay, and you see so many technologies and brand name, but the good things say deploying Sabic technology. If you see, we are having 12 technology to support crude oil to chemical. And this crude oil to chemical, it will be here in Yamba. And this would be the biggest petrochemical complex. It will convert the oil, Arab Light, to chemical, 40% the conversion, and the rest would be diesel. So Sabic, we start working on this since 2006. And why we start working on this since 2006? Because after 2000, we start seeing some limitation in the availability of gas. So we say the only way to continue our growth to find alternative for feedstock. And the best alternative is oil, because we are in Saudi Arabia, which is the land of oil, the biggest reservoir in the world. So we start investing as Sabic heavily in this project. And during the 10 years till 2016, we managed to find so many prototypes and technologies that could help us to convert the chemical. Then after that, in 2017, we joined efforts with Aramco because they have the same interest. And now you will see this as a reality. The first version will be around 40% conversion, but the second generation would be something like 70, 80%. Of course, we have a high number of patents, which is 11,666. And by the way, not every patent will be used in your core product or in your core business. Some of it has no value for us, but we invest, we get the patent, but after that, we donate it for the downstream or for some of the university for further research. By the way, Sabic brand value through the innovation and the other efforts of having global efforts and acquisition, we are estimating our brand by third party something around 3.7. By the way, in USA, in our growth for our 2025 strategy, this is the project that I talked to you about it in USA. This is 2 plants. The good things about this 2 plants, one for methanol, one for ethylene. The ethylene, it's 1.8 metric ton, the capacity. This is the highest ever built in human being history. This is part of the innovation. We managed to scale it. We managed to do the required sediment in the furnaces and in the big machine, because the real challenge is the big machine, the compressor. There is no compressor that can handle this. So this will give us a competitive advantage, because in USA, everybody is building a big crackers like 1.5. then what would be our competitive? We have the same price for the feedstock. We are having the same market, same everything. So we have to differentiate ourselves and to improve our competitiveness by scaling our plant capacity. For methanol, again, we built another plant, and we are the second producer in methanol. And in ethylene, we are the biggest producer. That's why we have to maintain our competitive edge by doing something nobody do it before. And by the way, for methanol, the highest capacity in the world, 1.7, 1.8. This is 1.9, the granted, but our study proven it could reach to 2.2. So this is, again, it will give us the economy of scale through the innovation that we implement in the catalysis, in the processes, in upgrading, in scaling. And it takes a lot of time of study and review and engineering. So this is part of the effort of innovation. Now, again, this is crude oil to chemical. We talked about it. By the way, in Sabic, we filed 30 patents granted since 2010. And we have 12 Sabic technology will be deployed in this project. Now we are thinking of something else, which is direct oil to olefins, which would be the second. This is for today. If you see in the picture, we write today. For tomorrow, we will not accept to convert it directly from oil to olefins. That's mean without going to a cracker. And would give us a very big advantages in terms of CapEx and OpEx. Because if you eliminate the cracker, then you are reducing your CapEx compared to normal project by around 30%. This is, again, we have to go faster. This is how we can innovate in the plastic and in the application. And Sabic lighter solution for tomorrow car. Every time we are inventing a strong plastic with light weight that will help in improving car performance and reducing fuel consumption and emission. This is one of the green solutions that we have. Same in agriculture, because Sabic, we have one of our business unit is agri-nutrient, and we are working on controlling release fertilizer, and this is a very innovative idea, which would be the world's first patent granted controlled release fertilizer made with certified biodegradable material. This is the secret, biodegradable material. You will put it in the field, and it will control the release of the ammonia, and after a certain period of time, it will be degradable, so there would be no environmental impact, and at the same time, it will reduce the greenhouse's consumption by around 25%. Then again, Sabic, we have a plant which is world's largest CO2 recovery plant, and this has been recognized by United Nations as one of the best green projects. It's the biggest commercial plant proven to produce or to convert a CO2 to a very useful product. This is the highest in the world. It's now running in Jubail since 2 years ago. And this is simply, we take a CO2, we liquefied it, we purify it, then we convert it to methanol and urea by adding some hydrogen to it. I'll not brag about Sabic because this is too difficult, but we got so many recognition by global recognition by certain institute. But to conclude, and I think now timing is okay, Fahad. To conclude, innovation is essential. It's something, it's a must, it's not optional. It's a continuous journey. It's not one time do. You do innovation and that's it. And also to succeed in innovation, it's a leadership. You should not have blaming culture. You should be ready. You will invest so many dollars and you will have so many projects. If the conversion rate is something around 10%, from 5 to 10%, you should be happy and you should recognize your people. Don't blame them rather than push them to learn. Failure will push you to success. And this is the most important. Then commit a lot of resources to research, especially in the critical area, because one of the most important about innovation is speed to market. Some people, they have a good idea, but it takes a long time, and somebody will arrive to market faster than them, then it would be like expired. Okay? Now, part of the innovation, every time when we do innovation, we do a patent. I'll tell you some of the tricks. Now, some of the company, they don't do a patent, because if you do a patent, you document it, it will be published. Then there is some company, they are specialized, especially in the Far East. They take it, they study it, then they modify it a little bit, then they claim it. So they compete with you. They call it incremental patent. So most of the company now, instead of filing the patent, they keep it secret. Nobody will know about it. So this is as a conclusion. So, guys, due to time limitation, I wish I did add some flavor to your experience. I know most of you are researchers and interested in research and in innovations, but I try to highlight what is the role of leadership in leveraging innovation and growth and transformation to achieve the competitive edge of your company, to penetrate new market, to enhance your profitability, and to ensure your sustainability. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you very much. Really inspiring talk. Questions to the audience? I may start with one, if you don't mind.
You will ask me?
I will.
Okay.
While they think. Okay.
I will divert it to Dr. Fahad. Okay.
Yes, so one of the concepts we've been discussing in the context of our event and the university in particular is how long, as I said in the introduction, how long does it take in reality to go from fundamental knowledge to innovation application? This is a question that... And you mentioned the word patent. Now, yes. Everybody's patenting stuff, but at the end of the day, patents cost money. They don't yes. produce money themselves. Yes. Okay. True. So what is the experience of Sabic in guiding innovation in this respect? So starting from discovery, research, to real application. So that, just for our students to make them aware of the realistic process behind it.
This is reflecting your deep experience in this field. The question is very smart. I'll tell you frankly, guys, for patent, yes, patent itself, because there is something they call it invention. And invention, you know what is the difference between invention and innovation? Invention is converting money to knowledge. So you invest a lot to learn something and to build knowledge. Then innovation, how can you put this knowledge to get money, commercial value? So usually in research and in patent, you are putting a lot of money to build knowledge. Then, which is the most difficult part, how to convert this knowledge to commercial value, how to take it to commercial. And this is difficult. And by the way, just to give you numbers that you may not know, but you will be shocked. In patent, you know what is the maintenance of a patent? One patent, to file it and to protect it, and by the way, you cannot file it globally. You have to file it against a certain market, because now I'll tell the students what they can know. Either you file it on China, Far East, or in USA, or in Europe, or in 3-4 regions. By the way, it costs around $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year. Do the calculation, Sabic, having 11,666, how much we are paying. But you know what? That's why we start seeing any patent is not good, we should not maintain it. So we file the patent, it has a potential. If we cannot convert it to commercial, we have to kill it. Either we donate it, or we give it to a university or somebody else, or we sell it, because some people, they can't buy it. So this is what it costs, okay? For a project to take it from scratch or from ideation till it graduates and become a reality, really this is taking a long time. There was a slide, but I remove it from here, which is usually because, again, there is some project for innovation, which is existing product, just you do incremental improvement. Doesn't take much time. But a new ideation, usually it takes, and I don't like to say it here because some of my scientists here and today I was pushing them accelerate. But really it takes from 5 years to 15 years. Depend how difficult the idea. And this is the trick. Most of the management and leaders, they lose patience. And if they see a project and they see a lot of spend on it for the past 10 years, they say, what the hell you are doing? Kill it. It's a good idea. Will kill it. And this is big mistake. If the scientist and engineer having a belief in this project, the least thing you could do is supporting them to continue. But guys, don't think like you can bring a breakthrough idea in 10 years or 15. I mean, if you look to the petrochemical industry, almost every 20, 30 years, you may have one breakthrough technology from all the industry. So it is not easy. But incremental improvement or incremental innovation, could be done faster. And by the way, when you collaborate with other university and institute, you could even have it faster.
Thank you very much. To the audience, please.
Hello, thank you very much. I was wondering if you as a company have any vision or investment in waste treatment.
Yes, I was talking about sustainability. I don't talk much about sustainability, and I talk about recycle economy and circular economy also, okay? And really, Sabic, we have a technology that would recycle the plastic packaging to a version, we call it chemical recycle, because there is mechanical recycle where you can collect all these packages, you segregate it, you filter it, then you melt it and you use it, but you lose part of the quality and the property of the polymers, and you cannot use it for food application. So use it for other applications. But what Sabic is thinking of, and actually not thinking of, we are building our demo plant in Netherlands to take this plastic and to do chemical recycling. What does it mean, chemical recycling? We take this plastic, we melt it, we convert it to oil, then we feed it back to the cracker, and we produce ethylene and propylene fresh, and we produce virgin material. And this is one of the biggest solutions. And by the way, so many global companies, they approach us to join us in doing this project. And we are doing it. But we are so serious about this.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
A question? Over there, please.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I just have one question. I don't know if you can answer it, maybe a political question or something. But I'm wondering why MTBE is still used here in the kingdom, MTBE.
Well, MTBE is not used only in the kingdom. It's only prohibited in USA, though there is some production facilities in USA, but they export it outside. And by the way, MTBE, there was so many allegations around it, but yet nothing proven to be true. And if you see all the study, they say having MTBE to boost your octane rather than lead, it's much, much better for the environment. So this is simply why we believe we are compliant company. We never sell in any country. Their regulation is prohibiting this MTBE. Okay?
Thank you.
Any question?
Any more questions?
في الدور الثاني. Okay. Okay.
Over there, these are our future entrepreneurships.
Okay.
Entrepreneurs, so they have to think about it. So cautious in what they...
So my question is, how much is Sabic investing in like renewable energy, like for example solar?
Sabic, we invest in renewable energy, but the real key role for Sabic in renewable energy is we are enabler of renewable energy globally. Why? Because we are producing the plastic sheets for the frame of the solar panel. This is all material. We are the biggest producer in the world. And also we have some research here in KAUST on utilizing solar energy in different research and application. And also we are doing some trial to operate one of our plant in Jubail in solar energy, and it would be the first petrochemical plant to run in solar energy in the world. So we are investing there, but it's not core focus area for us.
Any more questions?
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
First of all, thank you very much for this insightful and great presentation. I have a question regarding the future, like the future of plastic production. I know it's one of the core areas of Sabic. Regarding the environmental impact and how are you going to compete with the other companies? Like a lot of people is pushing toward papers and stuff like that. So I know you touched on the recycling, but how can you make the plastic is sustainable for the future and compared to the other companies? Thank you.
Actually, Sabic, we have one of our key focus area in the presentation is the application, material application. And we are having the biggest market share of automotive. We are working with BMW, with Mercedes, with Volkswagen, with so many. And also in packaging, we are having big part of the packaging market, but the real threat or regulation is around the packaging market. And that's why we are developing this technology for chemical recycling, which would help us to penetrate new market and to be green company, because Sabic always thinking to be green. Second thing, which is I've talked about self-driven car, and this is new opportunity for plastic producers. That's why we are having so many application and research to develop these materials. And by the way, I'll not tell you a big secret if I tell you some of our scientists and researchers, they are working hand by hand with the end user, with our customers, and they see what is their need and they keep changing their application. It's like they are their products or their employee. And also we are hosting them in our research centers, and they see what is our application and they give us their needs, and we are working collectively together. So we are putting all our efforts to make sure we are gaining market, not losing market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Al-Harethi, we have here a delegation of distinguished friends and people who would like to offer you. Dr. Al-Sulaiman, our gift, the WEP. I can see Dr. Hani. Please. Dr. Hani and Marilor Bulo, Director of the WEP of Research Office.
عجبتك المحاضرة أهم شيء؟ الله. لا حياك الله.